matter of the marriage of Megan Gerber and Brett Gerber. May I have an announcement of appearances, please?
May it please the court, the petitioner, Megan Geist, appears in person and through counsel Carol Park.
May it please the court, Morgan O'Hara Gearing appearing on behalf of the respondent, Brett Gerber, we both appear via Zoom.
We had last got together on February 24th and made a modification regarding the visitation and set it for a review hearing today at 1:30. Ms. Park.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, my client and I do not believe anything needs to change with the current arrangement. I did reach out to the counselor and she replied to myself and Ms. O'Hara. She reports that therapy is continuing, it's moving in a positive direction. Her recommendation was that breath testing continues as it provides the girls a sense of security before and during visits, and that she recommends visitation remain the same. With busy schedules and dad seeing the girls more at sporting events, she believes the visitation plan is working well at this time. I did ask her about the possibility of overnights, and she does not recommend overnights because trust is not at that level at this time. So our proposal, Your Honor, would just be to maintain the status quo, continue to follow through with the therapy and follow the therapist's recommendations.
Any timeline given or suggestion from the therapist on when we'll be ready to progress to overnights?
She did not, Your Honor. I don't know that I didn't specifically ask her for one, but she just said that she does not recommend it.
We're getting into the summertime here, so there'd be an opportunity for some extended or increased visitation now that we're not competing with school.
The only complication with that, well, there's several actually, but one of the complications with that is that the older child has a job, a part-time job. And then she's also involved in traveling softball. So there are softball tournaments pretty much every weekend till July.
So here.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I think you kind of hit on the point that my client would like to have a little bit more time during the summer. It's my understanding that the visits have gone really well. He's been compliant with everything that's asked of him. It's my understanding Ms. Geist has also been pretty accommodating to my client when they've switched some times around or days around. I think there was a time there was a track meet and she wasn't able to go, but my client went. I think that has been better, is my understanding, but he's been doing, all the requirements for the breath tests and everything. So what he was asking for, and honestly, we didn't get a real detailed report from the therapist. It's basically just a small paragraph in an email, not a lot of detail, but says everything's going well and just says she doesn't recommend the integration of overnights as trust is not at the level that this would be positive. So my client's not trying to push the kids into doing something they don't want to do, but one of the problems that we've had for this case, I mean, he's had supervised visits for a long time, and there hasn't been a lot of progression really until recently, for different reasons. But I think one of the things the last therapist didn't really push the girls much to do things that took them out of their comfort zone. But so my client is asking for a little more time during the summer. So what he had proposed would be, right now they're doing twice a week and it's like for 2 hours. So by the time he gets them to his house, he'll try to cook dinner. 2 hours goes by really fast. There's not a lot of time, if he's trying to feed them and he's doing it at his house and he's cooking. So like during the summer, he's been getting them, as my understanding, when he gets off work at 5, he gets them at 5:30, I believe, that he would like during the summer to have those extended to 4 hours. So with the children's ages, being home by 9:30 is not, I don't think that would be a really big deal. It can be worked around softball or jobs that they may have. And then what he had asked for is every other week that we'd pick one of those days that he'd get to have them for, maybe the majority of the day. It doesn't have to be overnight. And maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be on a weekend. If she's got a softball tournament, maybe it can be a different day. Or if she does have a softball tournament, my client goes, then maybe she could, in between games, she's with him. Maybe there's a way to work that out. But one of the things he'd like to do is be able to do something with them, take them to do something and spend the whole day with them. And it doesn't have to be overnight. And so it would be, one of the 2 visits per week. Every other week would be an extended long day. It's the summertime. They don't have school. He's trying not to push them beyond their comfort zone, but just something to progress so we can keep moving forward. And Your Honor, we would like to kind of have a timeline of where we can start moving towards towards overnight visits, just to keep this progression moving forward. So that would be my client's position, is for the summer to extend it just a little bit. Thank you.
Ms. Park.
Thank you, Your Honor. I received Mr. Gerber's requests for the expansion of time. I think around 11 o'clock. I honestly, I was in another appointment. I didn't have an opportunity to really review them. But certainly we have not had a chance to discuss those with the therapist. I think what Ms. O'Hara said is true, that my client has been accommodating, and she has tried to work with him. And if, certainly if he has plans for the girls to do something that's, a day-long type of thing, she has no problem discussing that with him on a case-by-case basis. I would prefer to have some input from the therapist as far as the expansion of the visits in this manner. I don't think my client agrees that having them home at 9:30, even in the summer, is a good thing. So perhaps if we're going to expand things during the week, it wouldn't be quite as long as 4 hours. And then just with scheduling, that's my client's primary concern. Brinley's working for Hayes Rec. And so she works, excuse me, when there are games and other sporting events at the sports complex. So that can be weekends, it can be evenings. I don't know if the court is familiar, but there's basically something going on there every night of the week in the summer. So we just don't know what her availability will be. And then with her softball schedule, that makes scheduling things even more difficult. So that's really the only thing kind of holding us back from developing a more concrete plan.
Is there a way that the counsel could have a telephone conference with a therapist and get some feedback sooner rather than later? I mean, expanding from 2 to 4 hours and expanding one day where it could be, an 8-hour or 9-hour day seems appropriate at this time. They're not asking the therapist to agree to an overnight as of yet, but expanding the time from 2 to 4 hours in the summertime, and then an 8 or 9-hour block of time, one day every 2 weeks, is appropriate. Now it's going to be hard to work into the schedule. As Brinley, does she have her schedule set for traveling? Do we know?
We have the softball schedule. How far in advance does she get her work schedule?
No, they just kind of call and they get her send her message, can you work these 2 days or something?
Okay. The work schedule is not in advance very much. They reach out to her kind of on the fly and ask her if she can be there.
Yeah, that's tricky with the Hayes Rec, but she also understands that time with dad should take precedent over summertime hours with the rec. I understand she enjoys it. I understand it's nice to earn a little spending money, but that shouldn't come at the expense of dad's visitation time. So she's gonna have to start balancing her schedule a little bit too. The youngest one, Lola, she's not working anywhere, is she?
Yeah.
Okay,
She's also playing softball though, but her her team is through Hayes Rec.
okay.
It's not a traveling team.
Your Honor, my client is willing to work around schedules. If Ms. Geist is willing to work with my client, he understands the softball schedules and things. He's willing to be flexible. He just wants more time.
Right. As far as where the parties are currently living, there's no travel issue, is there?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, in the summertime, increasing that from 2 to 4 hours sounds appropriate. And the extended day every couple of weeks is also appropriate. The trick is gonna be the parties are gonna have to work with one another and the kids' summer schedule to make this happen. The court has no issue with going to 4-hour visitations increased from 2 in the summertime. And then the extended day as can be worked out. But I'm at a disadvantage not having the schedule of the girls in front of us. I think this is something that the parties are gonna have to work out.
I would agree.
So. And it sounds like they've been doing a good job of being flexible and modifying some visitation with things that come up. So that's good. And if counsel could do maybe a phone conference with the therapist and find out if she has a timeline for expanding to any kind of overnight and what that's going to look like. What else do we need to work on today?
I think that's it, Your Honor. Do we need a review date of some sort?
I would prefer that we not schedule one, Your Honor. It just, you know, we can keep in contact with the therapist and if there are changes that either party wants, we can hopefully exchange proposals on that. And if we can't agree, then we can schedule something.
Your Honor, we would prefer to have a review date because we'd like to know what the timeline is for the therapist, and then we can touch base before that. We don't need the hearing and we can agree, then we can notify the court. But I'm concerned that it's just gonna get tossed to the side and then we won't advance anything if we don't have a review.
Well, Your Honor, I guess my position would be that, I mean, this is not like a child needed care case where we have to do periodic reviews. If someone wants to change the current state of things, they can file a motion, and then we have adequate time to respond to the motion and figure out whether we can settle it before we bring the court, tie up time on the court's calendar for it. And I mean, like today, had we known what Mr. Gerber's requests were in advance of, right before the hearing, maybe we would have been able to work something out, but there just wasn't sufficient time for it today. So I just don't want to continue to have hearings scheduled and have to bring my client and, do all of that.
Your Honor, I would ask that we at least be able to set, I mean, if they're gonna say this is like a permanent order and they gotta file a motion to modify it, then I think we need to have something more long-term if we had another review, then we can set forth some sort of graduated schedule of where we're gonna go with this, because I mean, Your Honor's inquired, what's the therapist say is the timeline for overnights, because she wasn't very detailed in it. We can get that information, provide proposals to the court as to a long-term parenting schedule.
I don't think it would hurt to have something set up for the start of the school year, because obviously calendars are going to change and schedules are going to change again as we get back into school. If you run into issues with communication with the therapist, you can contact the court. Otherwise, make sure Ms. Geist signs the necessary release so the therapist can talk to the two attorneys, get an idea of the timeline, discuss the summertime plan. And if you can reach agreement, that's fine. Put your order together and send it in. If you can't, then you can notify the court and we'll set up a hearing as quick as we can. But it might not hurt to have something right before or right at the start of the school year to get things in place for the next school year. We're going to be what, freshmen next year? High school. High school and junior high. Gets busier and busier. Does that sound acceptable, Ms. O'Hara?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Park,
Whatever you think, Your Honor, we'll be fine with.
yeah, Jess, if we could set up a review hearing towards the end of August, 1st of September.
Judd, do you have time on August 21st or 22nd? Or 27th, 28th, and 29th in there?
August 21st works for me. Or 22nd.
I'm not available those days, but the I think she said the 27th, 28th, or 29th, any of those are free.
I'm fine with August 27th or 28th.
And this would be by Zoom, I assume.
Unless the parties object.
No, Your Honor, we do not object.
Ms. Park,
We could do the 27th at 9 or 1:30, whichever works better for everyone.
1:30 would be good.
That's fine.
Yeah, 1:30 is fine, Jess.
Okay.
Ms. O'Hara, I think it's your turn to do the journal entry.
I will, Your Honor.
Okay, work together. Let's increase the time over the summer and have a review August 27th, 1:30.
Thank you.
Anything further for the record today, Ms. Park?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. O'Hara?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you all. Have a
Thank
good
you.
summer.